All right, so it's raining outside, and I thought I would do this outside, but that's fine. All right, so this reading is for Taurus. So Taurus is coming in at 12 degrees. So Moon is 12 degrees Taurus, and it's actually, what is this one? It's trining, it's trining South Node with Orcus itself, and also Pholus and Core. So the message I'm getting here is that it's people are more focused on solidifying something, right? The next few days feels a little bit more solid, a bit more grounded, more boundaries, and all that stuff. And also trying with the fact that it's a south node, it's finding boundaries with what is honest, what is true to our specific core, to our specific, not, I wouldn't say core, but to our physical core, like what feels more grounded, what feels more real, especially with Orcus. You know, Orcus is about, um, sorry, I'm thinking in a different language, uh, integrity, right? Orcus is about integrity. Orcus is about um, finding what is, well, what is true to our specific selves, right? It's also kind of an awakening. He's all about, it's kind of like the other Pluto. He's said to be like the anti-Pluto. He's from a different mythology. I think it's Etruscan or something like that. But basically, he's all about removing corruption, removing all the little things because it's in Virgo. It's removing the little things that are kind of like things that we reject in ourselves, things that are it's against tied to the shadow as well. But this is a little bit more about um it's slightly different in a way that it's more about what do you call this? It's kind of like a lighter Pluto. It's not so much about like Pluto energy, which is like very strong and power based. Orcus, I believe, can be. I feel Orcus is kind of like a ruling planet of Virgo. Um, but it's really because it's kind of like being reborn, just like Pluto, right? He's also tied to NDEs, tied to graves, cemeteries, post-comatose. Notice I said post-comatose rather than comatose. I'm not saying people are here to experience comatose, but it's also about um, getting to the truth of what the soul wants. Okay, again, integrity. Okay. This might also tie in with unhealthy habits. So, like lack of exercise, oily food, smoking, drinking, overconsumption or underconsumption, the overeating stuff, like the mukbang stuff, the ogui in Japan, binging, bulimia, those kind of stuff. It also rules monocular visions. So, I think it's like ocular vision impairment. So, disfigurement, blindness, all that stuff. So it's trying to get in touch with what physical, at least in this case, because it's an Earth, physical ailments we've had based on our past decision, past lives, and ancestral and familial, like ancestral heritage kind of inherited diseases. It is South Node, so it's more about the collective inherited diseases. Um, but also things of the past that haven't been dealt with. So why eating habits? Specific because this is tied to Taurus. The Taurus loves pleasure. Taurus loves things that are nice, things that are pleasurable, things that are nice. Like shopping could be one of those things. Um, right. So Orcus reveals all that stuff, and Orcus is telling us to look at the little things and figure out what it is that caused us to be in this position. We don't have to be stuck. We don't have to be in that little fantasy thing. We can be real about it, right? Purify. This is all about purifying stuff because it is also about it's in Virgo. It's also looking at the monsters in the closets, the little things that we find. It's like, oh, we kind of hide it, especially with the Northern Pisces. There might be a tendency to escape, but in this case, it's not about escaping anymore. It's finding the trusting in the little things. I've said this before when I was doing reading for Aries, um, but because it's in Taurus, it's more about the next few days about finding what's real for you. The decision you make right now is what's important, not what's in the future, what is right now in this moment. Okay. So many stuff like that. So look at the things that are so called wrong not really wrong, but like what is corrupting the body, what is corrupting your mind, what is corrupting your health. Specifically with Taurus, it's tied to the ears, the nose, and throat. So if you go to an ENT doctor, that's very Taurus. There's other stuff that Taurus rules as well. I forgot what the others were, medically speaking. This also includes any anti-corruption when it comes to your beliefs, like your boundaries. Are you dogmatic about your beliefs, your boundaries, what you want? You know, Taurus is the most stubborn sign in the zodiac. So it's that archetypal energy that is very like, I gotta stay my ground kind of thing. But sometimes it's good to release all that. Okay. As Taurus moves, as the moon moves into this, Taurus will actually sextile the North Node. So this is the time to be releasing it. So the next few, within a few hours of today, I would say probably around maybe this time already, for depending on what part of the world you're in. Okay, it's a time to trust yourself. There's a time to flow. Okay, there's a time for everything. Being stubborn doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Okay, it just means that you have to. It's all about timing. There's a time for this. There's a time for that. Okay. Um, be careful of the fact that it is Taurus right now might feel like questioning their own desires because it is square to Pallas Athena. Um, um, so it might be questioning like how you're connected to your own wisdom, to what you're learning. It might be kind of an imbalance there. Are you listening? Is it just knowing, or is it actually applied knowledge, or is it actually just being in the moment? Right? Um, it's tied to uh, being civilized or not civilized. So purity again, it's tied to the purity thing. This is one's coming up again. Okay. Watch out for the ego as well. Taurus is tied to Aries. It's right after Aries. It's kind of still tied to the ego. It's tied to the second house, which is still ego based. Any of the lower signs in this astrology, the lower zodiacs, lower, when I say lower, I mean Aries all the way to probably Libra. Leo is everywhere, but the point is that uh, Taurus is very much like that. So it's very stubborn. So, but again, there's this gift to the stubbornness. It means just knowing what you want, but being a little bit more flexible. Be the kind of the resting Taurus, the resting bull rather than the one that's defensive all the time. Okay. But many might get defensive about this, but you have to question yourself, what am I being defensive about? Okay. Um, so it also is tied to this whole, should I move? Um, I think it's something tied to do with instructing, mentorship, and athleticism. So I feel like this is tied to kind of being supported towards others. Taurus here is Taurus here is squaring retrograde Pallas Athena in and in Aquarius. So there might be little pockets of the world where people are teaching you stuff or helping you out, being reformed, being giving you, offering you wisdom. But if you're against it, if you're resisting that, then you might miss out. And missing out, and again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. There's always abundance in the universe. But if an opportunity comes your way, try to see where that's coming from. Right? Be a little softer. Okay. See the connections with things. Okay. People might also question things like maybe if there's any sort of resistance to things as well, like or any resistance movement. Being your own inner activist, not necessarily for the sake of changing the world, but changing yourself. Is there things to change, or is there anything that doesn't need changing? You have to kind of balance those things. Watch out for hoarding, this kind of stuff. Watch out for the internet. There might be also the internet stuff right here. Pals Athena rules the internet as well. Um, Privacy of information, government conspiracies, hidden or lost knowledge. Okay, pyramid-based schemes. Watch out for that, especially with Taurus with the money stuff. You know, you know what to do. You're very discerning, right? It's a very discerning sign. Pyramid-based schemes. Okay, like I said, two-sided weaponry. Okay, left or right wing politics. Um, Anything to do with weaving, the textile industry, and also flutes, instruments, teamwork. Okay, so again, working with people. This is kind of a hard thing right now. Uh, what else do we have here? Square Varuna and Mercury, not being able to communicate your desires. Probably earlier today, the 15th of August, might be a little bit harder, but also trying to connect with others, finding the cohesion. Varuna here is not retrograde. No, it's inverted. So Finding your connection with others might be challenging, kind of creating that substantiation or formation of relationships, or just yourself with the ego and how you fit in with the world, okay? And where you continue on from there. If it's flow, is it superficial? Is it true? You know, try to go within, right? Um, Look for things that are sacred to you, dharma rather than karma. Okay, this is very much Varuna here. Okay, watch out for things that are ambiguous. Okay, watch out for duality. There's a purpose behind that. Two-sidedness. This is coming up again. Two-sidedness. Honoring the gifts from within, the blessings. Watch out for illusions, delusions. Watch out for that. See, your North Node right now, the collective North Node is in Pisces, so watch out for those kind of things. Um, Watch out anything that's connecting you to your higher self, but at the same time honoring the ego. It's part of being genuine, forgiveness, redemption, reconciliation, absolution, release, acceptance. Okay. So watch out for things that are concepts that are like too off, like maybe it doesn't, reword things as well, because this is in square to Mercury. So reword your thoughts. What are those thoughts? So don't be so also dogmatic about things. Watch out for things that are too much, like the dogmatic, or what's the other word? Dogmatic, right? So watch out for those kind of things. Again, this is really about the balance, right? So going back inside, path of the origin, uh, forest fires, there might be a kind of a problem with the homes. The Taurus is tied to the homes. If you're in those places, kind of find the gifts from within. You know that you can always find a way through. Right? Taurus is just the builder sign. It's a building. So watch out for those kinds. Find illumination. Find way inwards and then outwards. Okay. There might be blackouts. There might be darkness. There might be, flooding, perhaps. Okay. You need water. This is Varuna as well. Okay. So if you live near the oceans, just again go with the flow. It's very Taurus is very has a hard time going with the flow. So that's the big one that I'm going to say right now. I'm going to say probably some more later. That's it for now. So watch out for your thoughts, watch out for what's happening. Make sure you're connecting, not necessarily for the sake of connection, but what makes sense to you as well, and how you work with others. I hope that makes sense. Thank you for watching.